Hello again, class. Week 2 had a lot of information thrown at you this week. Now, you went over it in Chapter 2 packet, which you all I'm sure got turned in at the end of the week. For next week, there has been the update. Since the terms and the key concepts got doubled accidentally, I have shrunk it to simply the reading that you need to get done for next week. Now, there has been a lot of talk about a reading quiz that was on a schedule. Some people got copies, some didn't. I'm going to go ahead and push that reading quiz into the future. It will not be Tuesday again. It has been canceled for Tuesday. Now, for this week, we talked about the underpinnings of the United States. We started with the Greco-Roman traditions that, of course, influence us greatly with the principles of democracy. We talked about checks and balances, starting way back in the day with the Magna Carta, the influence of Adam Smith and the Wealth of Nations, the religious influences into United States political culture that are very much still with us from the very beginning, the Natural Rights of Man from John Locke and its influence into the Declaration of Independence. Through the time period known as salutary neglect, Ben Franklin and his Albany Plan set the foundation for our current federal model of government, and along with Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence, we put ourselves on that path to a completely new nation. Now, we got off to a bumpy start because of the Articles of Confederation, which lacked a lot of power that our government has nowadays. I really liked the in-class, this is the little jellyfish that can sting you, whereas our new Constitution is the octopus that can crush the life out of you. Shays' Rebellion proved that maybe it can sting only just a little bit, but ultimately Shays' Rebellion proved that we needed some constitutional reform. We began into the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. James Madison, the father of the Constitution nowadays, came with the plan, the large state plan, this plan that had representation in the legislative body being completely based on population. Of course, we went through the ups and the downs. The New Jersey plan was the equality plan of having equal representation. We went through the ups and the downs. The Great Compromise, the Connecticut Compromise that came about creating our bicameral legislature is the important thing for you to know about our legislative body. It kind of became the foundation of how laws are created, and it was the compromise between many of the people at the Constitutional Convention. Now, of course, our new Constitution has many executive assurances, which as we study the presidency, we will get more in depth with. This week, one of the better questions on the online debate is the Electoral College, which we talked about, why to create something like that. Please engage in that debate. I think it's going to be a really good one. Some of the slavery issues were with us. The Three-Fifths Compromise definitely affected Southern representation back in the day, and the other big thing that separated the country, still even today, the Federalist, Anti-Federalist debates. Central power authority versus states' rights. Now, of course, one of the chief arguments from the Anti-Federalist papers was that there was no Bill of Rights, which, of course, Federalists said, fine, if we have to go along with that, we will to sell people on it. In the coming weeks, you're going to be reading many of Publius's statements, which, of course, know the three people that Publius actually was. You're also going to be reading Brutus's take in the Anti-Federalist papers. We talked about the difference this week of plurality rule versus majority rule. Please understand the difference as we go through this class, and again, for the AP test, plurality is a concept almost guaranteed to be there. Federalist papers, of course, sold the last state for ratification, New York. That put it at 11. 11 had to force the other two to go along. That's just how it was. And, of course, our new Constitution, you were tested, very, very tested on that this week. Please understand what powers were dictated, the amendments of it, and, of course, the principles within our Constitution. As requested, many of you wanted to see what songs I used in our in-class countdown, and again, this was a way I studied in college, was to make playlists and to be able to remember things over and over again based on the number that it was. So here it is for you guys. If you come up with something better, please let me know so I can update and stay up with the times. That's it for week 2.